I'm going to do a very quick, like 50,000 foot framing for you of what it is that we're going to be talking about and teaching you here. And that's going to take like 5 minutes. I'm going to do that using like a slide deck. And then we're going to do rapid fire demos. I'm just going to give you a bunch of demos of different types of AI agents, just to, again, get you to see just a bunch of random, interesting things. And then we're going to start building AI agents. And so I promise you, because I've done this a lot, and so I know that I can fulfill on my promise. I promise you that all of you, by the end of this 2 hours, are going to be capable AI agent builders. You will be able to go right after this and start building agents for yourself, for your team. You're going to massively impress your coworkers, your boss. If you're interviewing, if you demonstrate to the company that's interviewing you your capability that you will get after these 2 hours of building AI agents, there's a much higher chance that you get an offer. We've got lots of success stories of specifically that, of people getting job offers as soon as they demonstrated to their hiring managers their skill set that they've learned in these things. Okay. And so that's what you get. Sit back, relax. Please don't try to follow along with me. Don't try to build these things along with me. Just sit back, relax, watch. This is being recorded. You will be able to get access to this session. There's also dozens of these sessions that are already available online that you can watch. Again, we've done this a bunch of times. And so you can always get the material later. Right now, just sit back, relax, have a cocktail if you want to. I always joke that I'm a lot more fun if you've got a buzz on. Okay. I'm drinking some black tea here. Okay, let's get going. Awesome. I'm going to share my screen. Yes, you guys can see my screen. Go thumbs up. Thank you very much. Okay. So again, I'm CEO of this company called MindStudio. This is what we're going to be using to build these AI agents. Now, I want to clarify for you, the things that I'm going to teach you today are actually transferable. So if you wanted to use these same skills to then go and use like a platform like N8N or Zapier or Make or those kinds of platforms, the things you're going to learn today are all transferable and it'll make you much better users of those platforms. Also, a bunch of skills you'll learn today will make you much better users of ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini in all the models. But primarily, I'm going to be showing it to you using MindStudio because, you know, I'm CEO and I know how to use it the best. And it's also, again, in our experience, the most learnable and the most teachable thing. And that's why we're leading with that. Okay, so MindStudio is a platform for doing what? For building things that optimize business processes, things we as knowledge workers do every day using AI. We make it really easy to learn to build these AI agents. And also we make it easy to build them and quick to build them. The average AI agent that you're going to build is going to take you anywhere from like 3 minutes to like 30 minutes. Okay, this does not take, you know, months or weeks or even days to build these agents. You build these very rapidly without writing any code. Okay, and so again, by the end of this session today, you're going to feel like, oh, I know how to build AI agents. There's a lot more to learn, but you will already be capable and you will be able to build countless really powerful AI agents for yourself, your team, customers, etc. Okay. MindStudio is quite popular. There's over 200,000 of these AI agents that have been built and deployed in all kinds of places. New York Times is a customer, ServiceNow. This is His Majesty's Revenue and Customs, the British Tax Authority, the British Internal Revenue Service. Okay, customer. Okay. And while these companies are not yet enterprise customers, MindStudio agents are running inside of all of these customers, all of these companies brought in by employees who've learned to use MindStudio and realized that they can just start using it inside of these organizations. We are venture backed. Here we've raised $36 million so far. List of investors on our website. If you get curious, I used to work at Google. You'll see a bunch of like really senior Googlers. This is Michael Eisner, the former CEO of Disney, and like a bunch of interesting folks. Okay, so kind of the situation out there, I propose to you that this is reality. Is like no matter what your company does, it's got some business processes and they run and they work fine. But you're always trying to figure out like how do I make whatever it is we do work better? What does better mean? Better means more efficiently, more effectively, faster. And now again, because of this new capability that's available, this like AI model orchestration, automation of workflows using AI models. This is a new thing, right? It's just been available over the last couple of years. You can start to make your processes run more autonomously. So more automation, less work, less manual work for humans to do. The marketing team can get a lot more done and a lot faster. The sales team can get a lot more done. Ops, it's completely job function agnostic. This works for every job function imaginable in any kind of organization. Okay. And so your processes work fine. You want to make them work better, more autonomously. The people who are best qualified to be able to understand where there are inefficiencies in a business are the people that are actually doing the work, your employees. In this case, you might be one of the employees. So you're the most qualified to know where there are inefficiencies in your workflow. And we make it possible for you to learn to use these tools and to just start optimizing your own job function. A lot of people out there are afraid that if their companies start automating things, that they won't need them anymore, the people, the workers. What we see out in the wild is actually the opposite. Companies desperately want people who have marketing experience, but don't do marketing. They do marketing automation. That don't do sales, they do sales automation. That don't do finance, they do finance automation. And those people are in great demand, have incredible job security, get promoted, make more money. And the people that are just saying, well, I'm just 20 years of marketing experience and I'm afraid I'm going to get disrupted, then yes, don't be that person. Learn to be the person they want, which is 20 years of marketing experience that knows how to automate the thing so it works much more effectively. Okay, great. Okay, and so we make it sort of very straightforward and easy to do. I'm going to skip all this, but there's, again, lots of important people from lots of important companies that are on LinkedIn, if you ever want to go and see raving about MindStudio and capabilities and all that stuff. Okay, the last few slides here. So we're about to start using this thing called the MindStudio Agent Builder, right? This is what it looks like. We sit in lots of, security, privacy, compliance, sensitive environments. Again, His Majesty's Revenue and Customs uses this in human resources to automate a bunch of human resource functions. And so we have a trust center, anybody in your IT team that's concerned about this or legal or privacy can look at this. We're also happy to talk to them, but we shine in privacy and security side. We are model agnostic. With MindStudio, you can build AI agents that leverage any model right out of the box. We give you access to over 200 AI models. You don't have to go create your own accounts. They're just there for you to use and mix and match. We're not going to get into this in this course, but if you come to one of our longer boot camps, we show you how you can use vibe coding along with MindStudio to build all kinds of amazing things. And then this is what I wanted to spend a minute on before we jump into the demos. So you can build many, many different types of agents with MindStudio. These are some categories that are popular. One is you can build agents, again, without writing any code in like 3 minutes to 30 minutes. You can build agents that are user-facing applications. What does that mean? Well, you've all used apps on your phone or computer, things that have screens and forms. That's an application. That's a user-facing applications. You can build apps using MindStudio that have an AI backend and simple screens and form front ends. And you can build that really easily. We will build one or more of them here today before you leave. We're going to build these types of applications. You can also build applications that don't have any front ends. They just run in the background, mostly run on a scheduled basis and do things, right? And these are extremely powerful and extremely popular use cases. I'll touch upon those as we chat more about that. You can build AI agents that are triggerable with a browser extension. In fact, that's the first set I'm going to teach you to build. These things are extraordinarily valuable. Again, dumb easy to make, extreme power, like superpowers that you get now in your ability to do the work you do, whatever job function you have. You can build little browser extension buttons that help you do that faster, better, simpler, etc. You can just as easily build agents that are email triggered. What does that mean? It means that they automatically get their own email address. And you can just like CC them on things or send them an email. For example, it could be like you might have a long thread. Like I have countless threads that just like go on forever. And I've like long ago lost track of like what is happening in this email thread. Instead of using my mental energy to go back and try to understand it, I just CC an agent. And its job is to unpack all of this. And the first thing it needs to tell me is there anything for me to do here? And if the answer is no, I actually don't have to read the rest of it. And then the rest, it'll show me what other people are involved in it and what their action items are and what things have been agreed to and what things I might need to be concerned about. All of that I can do just by copying, CCing an AI agent. And it's super easy to build these. Again, no coding required. You guys are going to be able to understand how to do all of that before you leave here today. And then there's more sophisticated agents that you can build that are programmatically driven, it's called, right? That have these like API endpoints and MCP servers. We're not going to get into that today, but it's all super learnable. And you can use APIs and MCP servers without even knowing what API stands for. Certainly not writing any code or what MCP is, okay? Okay, great. That's it. I'm going to stop here. Oh, one last thing I guess I will say. So MindStudio, when we get compared to other companies, 9 out of 10 times we get compared to a company called N8N. Show of hands, have any of you seen N8N, used N8N, heard of N8N? Okay, great. N8N, 9 out of 10 times, the other sort of 10%, we get compared to these other companies. This is the general consensus. If you've used any of these, you will find MindStudio to be easier to learn and much easier and faster to build AI-centric, AI-powered automations. If you find any of that to be untrue, please post about it on LinkedIn. Reach out to me. Tell me, oh, I think these other platforms are easier or better to use. Like I encourage you to do that. If you feel that way, please do. So far, we haven't seen anybody post any of that. So I think you should trust them on this. Okay, great. Let's jump in and do some quick demos. Okay. Now, I want to tell you that these demos are not, what I call canonical demos. These are not the most important use cases. I just want to show you a bunch of like patterns that can help you see some things that these things have in common, okay? And so let's just jump in. So this is a long read, okay? And very dense and very long. It's got a lot of data. This one happens to be about the movie industry, but again, that's irrelevant. Let's say that I, in my job, need to understand what this document is talking about and be able to like analyze it and synthesize it. This is what we do as knowledge workers, right? We spend our time parsing information, using our mind and our mental energy in order to be able to do that, okay? Well, I don't have to do that anymore. How? Well, on the right-hand side over here, I've got this little thingy. This is the MindStudio Chrome extension. And if I open it up, here I've got a bunch of these little buttons. Each one of these buttons is an agent that I can just trigger with the click of a button. This agent right here, if I click it, what it does is it grabs all of this content right here automatically and analyzes it. And this specific agent is tasked with going through this document with a fine-tooth comb. What is happening here? Try file there. It's weird. Going through this document with a fine-tooth comb in extracting all of the salient points of this. Again, if I was using my mind and my time, this would require a lot of mental effort. But here I can just be chatting with you as this thing is going through this thing with a fine-tooth comb, pulling all of this stuff out. And so I can consume this document with a trivial amount of mental energy spent, with a trivial amount of time spent, when mere mortals need to spend their entire afternoon kind of going through this thing and trying to figure out what's here. Okay. And so I get this, by the way, then I can make a copy of this, I can share it with people, or I could continue. And for example, uh, what is going on with my browser here? Sorry, guys. I think this is, I updated my browser and some nasty. Let's try the next one. I'll do that. So this same button works on any page on the internet. Okay, this is a YouTube video. This is a 2-hour YouTube video. I can push the same button. It knows how to find this transcript that's here. And it grabs the transcript. And instead of watching this 2-hour video, by the way, I've run this on 10-hour videos. Instead of spending my time watching this at 2 times speed, like in this case for an hour, and trying to make sense of it, I can just push a button and wait a minute because it's going to take it a while to like go through this thing. But then I can consume this video in a fraction of the time that it would take a mere mortal to do. And again, then I could, for example, say, extract all people mentioned. And now this thing can go through this and list out all of the people that were mentioned in this. Okay, or all the entities that were mentioned, or ask a bunch of other questions of this. Okay, so it's like really powerful with a click of a button. This is the first agent we're going to make. I'm going to show you how dumb easy it is to make an agent like this. Okay, this exact same thing works on any other page. Again, you know, if you go to Twitter still and you want to understand why American jobs are collapsing, you might go through and try to like parse these posts, or you can just push this button and let, you know, the agent get traumatized. And you just get the data that you want out of this thing. Okay. So very powerful. Or again, another example, this is a 182-page PDF. It's a financial disclosure. If I tried to parse this using my my feeble mind, my brain would explode, right? But my little button here, my financial analyst button, doesn't blink at this. It takes 2 minutes to run to parse this. But in those 2 minutes, I can relax and do other things, and then it does it for me. This is the second agent that we're going to build after we build that first one. Okay, just some more quick things. Let's quickly look at this. So this is, again, I apologize for taking you to Twitter here, but this could work on anywhere where there's a person that is, that I want to understand, because let's say I want to build a relationship with Gary, I want to sell him something, whatever. I have a little button over here that I can press that, again, grabs all this information here and helps me understand, in this case, Gary Tan. Some stats about him, the kinds of things he posts about, what he thinks about various things, who are the people that he's engaged with the most, so I can go and build relationships with them, and they can then influence Gary. Like this ability to just like push a button and have this unfair advantage of understanding the situation, the content, the whatever, with a click of a button. These are superpowers. Mere mortals that don't have this cannot compete. Let's continue down. We'll spend a couple of more minutes on demos. So this is a job description. Okay, SVP engineering. Great. I'm qualified for a job as an SVP of engineering. Now, if I wanted to apply for this job, the most important thing I need to do is explain to the hiring managers why I specifically, out of all the applicants, am the right person for that job. And in order to do that, I need to use a bunch of mental energy to understand all of their needs and then write a cover letter to explain why my experience fits that. Well, that takes a lot of time, and I would never do that again because I have a little button, allows me to upload my resume. There it is. Now it has my resume, it has the job description, and it can write a custom cover letter, point by point, articulating to this hiring manager why I specifically am the perfect fit for this job. I also happen to be the perfect fit for this job and all of these jobs. I would have never had the time to write the cover letters to explain that. And so I couldn't have possibly applied to all these jobs. But when it's this easy, I can. Again, that's an unfair advantage. It's game changing. Okay. Continuing. So this is my third venture-backed company. As a founder, I've now raised over $140 million in venture capital. I know lots of VCs, but periodically I like to engage in an activity that I call VC collecting. And what that means is like I want to build some more relationships with VCs. And that used to be for me to do that, like I would go find them and like I'd look at them and I'd be like, okay, this person is interesting. Like I'd want to do some, some research on what they're posting about and their background and blah blah, so that I can click connect, add a note, and in 300 characters that I could explain to them why they should pay attention to me versus the thousands of other people that are trying to reach them. That's a lot of work, takes a lot of time. Well, I don't do that anymore. All I do is I click this button. And then, by the way, I don't even have to wait because it doesn't do anything, doesn't return anything back. I can just move on and I can say, oh, this person over here, yep, that person looks interesting as well. And, maybe I go back to search and I look at this person and I say, yep, this person looks interesting too. And what happens here is I click these buttons is I have a database. This one is an Airtable, but this could be Google Sheets, it could be Excel, it could be anything, it could be a flat file, etc. And this is a database of venture capitalists. And so whenever I click that button, my agent grabs their name, their photo, their title, their current company, meaning their fund, their professional summary, all of their educational things, all of their key experiences, all of their latest posts, the link to their LinkedIn profile. And even though email addresses are not available on LinkedIn, there's no place here where I can get his email address, but this goes and uses another service and enriches this and gets their email address and puts it in this database. And again, so for me to be able to add somebody to this database is a click of a button. And now they've added. Now, you might notice that this little square bracket over here, for example, that it's got these like square brackets and like this thing has these like, these like curly braces over here. Why are these things here? Well, they're here because this database actually isn't for me. This database is for my agent, another agent, that when it's running, it looks at this database and it grabs a person and it crafts a custom email message for them and sends it to them. And then it waits for them to respond. And if they don't respond after a certain amount of time, it takes another angle and crafts another message to them. And I call it my VC harasser agent. It can harass VCs until they respond to me. I used to have that job, but that job was a lot of effort and kind of soul crushing. Now my job is to push a button, set it and forget it. Now I'm reaching out to VCs. You might be reaching out to sales prospects. LinkedIn is an amazing, interface here in search that I can fine tune it to get my ICP of customers. And then I can just do that. By the way, I have another button right here, which allows me to just do that on this entire page. So I don't have to go one at a time and look at them. I just push it and it gets all of them. And then I can go to this next page and I can click this button. I can get all of them. And I can go to this next page and I can click this button and get all of them. And just like be blasting out emails, SMS messages, whatever I want to these people. These are superpowers. Okay. Okay. There's many more to show you, but let's go ahead and build some of these things and we'll come back to that. Yeah, you guys still with me? Does this make sense? Yeah, a little bit? Cool. Okay. Let's build this agent that I've been using here, this TLDR agent. That's the first one we're going to build. So I'm going to open up a new tab. I'm going to go to MindStudio. I'm logged in. If you're not logged in, you should log in. Again, not now. And then, again, just keep an eye on what I'm doing. I'm going to click Build New Agent. I'm going to teach you how to do all of this from scratch. We also have hundreds of templates you can use, so you don't have to start from scratch. But we're going to teach you to build it from scratch. This is the MindStudio Agent Builder. Okay. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to give this agent a name. I'm going to call it TLDR. I can also give it an icon. I can control who has access to it and sort of many other things. Okay? But here I'm just going to give it a name. Agents are made of workflows. You can have one or many. This one's just going to have one. Workflows have a start, they have an end, and they have things in the middle. On the start, we need to choose a run mode. The run mode I'm going to choose is browser extension because we're going to build a browser button. But there are these other run modes you can choose. Again, schedule, these that just like run on schedules automatically, things, agents that are emailable, agents that have front-end interfaces that we're going to build here in a few minutes. For now, we're just going to build this browser extension, so I'm just going to choose this. Whoops, chose the wrong one, browser extension. There you go. As soon as I choose that, this thing automatically adds this thing here that we'll come back to. I'll show you what that means. And so again, so far all I've done is I've given it a name, I clicked on start, and I chose browser extension. That's all we've done. I'm going to click here, and I'm going to click on this first thing here called generate text. Another name for this block would be communicate with a large language model and give it a command and get a response from it. We call it generate text. And what I'm going to write here is I'm going to write the following. I'm going to write extract all learnings. And then I'm just going to make my screen a bit bigger. I'm going to type these double curly braces. And as soon as I do that, it gives me this drop down with a bunch of stuff. I'm just going to choose this page content thing. Okay. And then that's it. We've actually built this agent, and I can publish it. And we've built that TLDR button. I've been showing you that magic button that can read PDFs, that can extract all the information from 10-hour-long YouTube videos, that can run on any long read and give you the TLDR of it, with a fine-tooth comb set of bullet points to do that. That's how easy it was to build it. You gave it a name. You chose browser extension. By choosing browser extension, I told you we got these things. These things are called launch variables. So when we say browser extension, the system says, I will automatically for you, whenever that button is pressed, tell you what's the URL of the page on which that button was pressed. Again, if we go back to this thing right here would be in the URL variable. Okay. What's the metadata? This is behind the scenes. What's the page content? The page content is everything that's visible on the page. All of this data automatically gets put into this variable called page content. Oops, sorry. Into this variable called page content. And therefore, we can later simply refer to this variable. And the way we do that is using these double curly braces. This is about as technical as this thing gets. You have to be not afraid of using double curly braces. Okay. You can all grok this. Okay. Let's try this. Again, I built it. I published it. Now we have it. I'm going to go back here. These agents right here, these are called pinned. These are my favorites. I've already used them and I pinned them. Since we just made this one, they're not pinned. I have to click on this M. That opens up the side drawer with all of my agents. This is the agent we just built, this TLDR. I'm going to click it. It knows how to grab all this content, and then it goes off and it gives me that bullet point list of this thing. Really straightforward, right? To build this. Now, let's continue. And again, I want you to see the pattern here. I'm going to go back here, and now we have this TLDR agent that we've built. These are the agents I have published. They're always available for me right here in Build Publish, okay? I'm going to click here, and I'm going to say duplicate. That means make a copy of it. We just did. Now we've made a copy of this agent. So we're going to build a whole other agent. And I'm going to call this agent Financial Analyst. So I'm just going to change its name. And the only thing I'm going to change is right here. I'm just going to change this one line. And I'm going to say do a fundamental analysis on this stock. And I'm going to say publish. I literally made a copy, changed the name, and changed this command. I didn't touch this page content stuff. I just changed this. And now let's go ahead and open up a new tab. And let's go look at some, financial data here. And so now again, I can click here. And I've got my financial analyst agent. There it is. And I can just say run. And it will grab this Tesla thing here, and it will perform a fundamental analysis on this stock. Now, those of you that have performed fundamental analysis, you may say, wow, this is sort of like a, superficial financial. It is, but you made it in less than a minute. If you want it to be more precise, Well, you should have told me that. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, but look at this thing doing its thing. This is crazy. This is superpower. If you evaluate securities, have a button like this. It gives you a tremendous amount of power from that. Okay. Let's go back here, and I want to show you something. So instead of writing this prompt here, I can click on this button over here and edit in full screen. And at the bottom left here, there's a button called Generate. And so I could write this, provided with a stock, do a financial, sorry, fundamental. Oh my God. Of it. Okay, that's it. That's all I'm writing. Provided with a stock, do a fundamental analysis on. I'm going to say generate. And what this thing is going to do is it's actually going to use an AI agent to take this crappy prompt that I wrote, because what is a fundamental analysis, and sort of unpack it and expand it and write a much better prompt. And then I can look at that prompt and I can modify it in any way I want. And now I've created a more sophisticated agent. Again, all I did was make a copy of the TLDR agent, change its name, simply write a different prompt here, and that's it. Okay. Now, when we use that to write the prompt, we still need to give it, our page content. That's still very important because that's the thing. So this is just the prompt for the model. We also need to give it the data on which it's going to, analyze it. And so that is the page content thing that we had. Now, it's best practices here because look at this. There's a lot of text here that we're going to send to the model. And inside of this page content, there's going to be a lot of text also, which is like all the text on that Yahoo Finance page, for example. And so it's important to delineate for the models what is the command, which is the prompt, and what is the data. Okay. And again, this isn't MindStudio, this is prompt engineering. I told you I was going to teach you things that you were going to be able to use in Claude and ChatGPT and Gemini. These are some of those things. This the syntax is called XML. It's a tag. Again, it looks like code. It's not code. This is just a label. We could have called it stock. We could have called it content. We could have called it kind of anything. But this tells the model, when I say stock, it's going to be whatever is inside of here. And we ended by doing the same thing, but adding a / here, okay? Don't get confused by this. Everybody, first time they see it, gets a little bit confused. We'll keep using this. This is just best practices. All we're doing here is giving the model all of this content on the page, giving it a command of what to do with it, which is to do a fundamental analysis. And by the way, here, the other thing we're doing, notice, is this output behavior, is the output behavior is display it to the user. But we could also change this behavior to be something else. So that's what we're about to get into and do. Okay, you guys with me so far here? Again, you don't have to repeat this yet. Just generally, is it kind of making sense? I saw Chris thumbs up. Yeah, okay, great. Stick with me. Okay, I'm going to do another quick build, and I'm going to pause, and I'm going to take some questions, and then we're going to do more builds. Okay, because again, here this is about immersion. I want to show you a bunch of these things so you can get the idea of what you can do with this, and then you'll be able to master it on your own. Okay, let's go back to MindStudio. We're going to go back to our workspace. We're going to click Build over here. So we're going to get to our agents that we've already built. I'm going to take this TLDR agent we've built, and I'm just going to duplicate it again. I'm going to make a copy. I'm going to use it as a template, okay? So once again, I'm going to build an agent that's going to be triggered by a browser extension. An agent I'm going to build, I'm going to call it content to LinkedIn post. Okay. Again, I'm not going to change anything here. It's going to be browser extension. I'm not going to change anything here because the first thing I want when I click the browser extension button, I want it to give me all of these bullet points about that content that I'm on, that page that I'm on, about that content. And we're going to extract all the learnings. And in here, instead of displaying it to the user, I'm going to say save to variable. And I'm going to call this variable bullets, like bullet points, because that's what we get back, right? When we push that button, what comes back? It's a bunch of bullet points. Again, you can call this anything you want. That's just a variable. We're just going to use it inside of our agent here. It's just a way to store whatever comes back from the model in this thing called a variable. Does everybody know what a variable is? What I mean by variable? Just a way to store data. It's a label that stores data. Okay. So all we're doing is we're going to push a button. It's going to give us this page content. We're going to call a model, and we're going to say to it, extract all learnings. We're going to give it this page content along with it, and it's going to come back to us with a bunch of bullet points, and we're just going to store that. We're not going to display it back to us, to ourselves. We're going to store it in this variable called bullets, and then we're going to continue. I'm going to click plus, and I'm going to call a model again. Okay, and then here, whoops, I am going to, sorry about this. I'm going to write a command, and I'm going to say, write a LinkedIn post about this. And here, look at what I'm going to do. I'm going to give it these bullets that we just created here. I'm going to give it a bunch of bullet points here. And again, remember, it's good practice to use XML. And here I can say, bullet points. Again, you can call this anything you want. You can call it content. You can call it bullet. I'm going to indent it, but doesn't matter. This is all, you can have spaces, which is good practice, so you can read it better, you see? And so I'm giving it the bullets that we just created using this other model call. And now I'm saying to it, write a LinkedIn post about this. And then here, instead of displaying it back to ourselves, I'm going to say save to a variable. And I'm going to call that variable post, because this is the post we just generated. And then I'm going to continue. I'm going to click plus, and I'm going to go view all blocks. There's 122 blocks in this area right here. There's another 663 blocks in this area right here. I'm going to search for a block called create LinkedIn post. And to configure this block, I need to log into LinkedIn. If you've never done it, you'll just have to OAuth to it, meaning log in once. Once you've done it, you'll have your credentials here. You can have multiple or many credentials. I've got 3. I'm just going to choose this one. And here I get to write what I want the post to be. And what do you guys think I should write here? In chat. Can we see in chat what should I write? Okay. Can we get some others? Format the post, the variable output. What should I write specifically? Okay, great. Great. Again, I want you guys thinking about this. What I'm going to write is post. So whoever set that up top, well done, post. Okay. So again, let's come back and take a look at what we're doing here. We're going to start by clicking a browser extension button anywhere on any piece of content. That's why I call this content. It could be a YouTube video, it could be a PDF, it could be a long read, it could be any piece of content. I'm going to click a button, and the first thing that's going to do is it's going to call a model. It's going to send it this command, extract all learnings, and it's going to unpack all of that text or transcript or whatever that's on that page, and it's going to send that. By the way, we haven't looked at this yet, but at the bottom, for each one of these model calls, you can choose what model you're using. We support over 200 models. If you want to use this one, you just say use. That's how easy it is. Okay. I'm just going to leave it at this 3.7 sonnet. I think it's great. Don't worry about it. Any model will work for this. Okay. So we're going to extract all learnings, and that's going to give us that bullet point list. We're going to store it in a variable called bullets. Then we're going to call a model again. We're going to give it these bullets that we just created here, these bullet points. And along with a command, write a LinkedIn post about this. Okay. And we also are going to save this to a variable. We're going to call that variable post. And then we're going to use this create LinkedIn post block and simply say, here's the post that I want you to post. Okay. Now, because I've been around the block enough, I know that it's not a good idea to just like post things to LinkedIn, because models can be naughty sometimes. And so before I make the post, I'm going to do something called human in the loop. So I've generated the post here. Now, before I post it, I'm going to add another block, and this block is going to be this block called display content. Now, we've been using this generate text, which calls a model and brings back a result. Display content doesn't call any models. It just displays things back to the user. And so here, I'm simply going to display this post back to myself so that I can see what it is before I approve it to move on to the next step and actually post it to LinkedIn. Okay? Is this making sense? I get thumbs up, down, queasy, yeah, okay, cool. Okay, so we just made that thing again. I click publish, we made the thing. Let's go back again. I'm just going to keep running it on this, but it'll work on any page on the internet. This is just a long read. I'm going to click here and I'm going to find our content to LinkedIn post. I'm going to say run. By the way, if I click here at the top right, I could pin this to the extension. And if I pin it, it's going to open it up. Oh, sorry. It's going to open it up there and expand it there. Okay, I apologize. I actually just stopped it here. And let me run it again just so you guys can see it running in here. And I want to come back to this page here while it's running. While the agent is running, I want to show you this thing on the left-hand side called the debugger. The debugger allows us to see the runs of the agent in real time. So this is the agent. See, that last run I did is already here. It's already completed. This is the agent that's running now, and it's going through all those steps. And so it went off and it created the bullet points. There's the bullet points that are just created from that first model call. It then made another model call, and then it asked it to generate a LinkedIn post, and that's what it's done. Here's that post. And now it's paused on this display content block, right? If we go back, there's our LinkedIn post, including like hashtags and all that stuff. And if I say next, it's going to move on to the next step and post it to my LinkedIn profile. I'm not going to do that because then I have to go erase it. But you guys understand how this works. You can post to LinkedIn and Blue Sky and Twitter and like all those things, right? Okay. So again, what I wanted to show you here is that you can not simply display things back to the user like we did with TLDR, but save them to a variable and then use those variables later in other model calls or other types of blocks that are here. Okay. And again, one last thing before I take questions. If we quickly go through this, again, we'll not be able to get through all of these, obviously, but I want to show you just the general categories. There's a category to generate. So this is like talk to a large language model, an image model, a video model, use a model to take numeric data and automatically generate visualizations, charts, and graphs, automatically generate pixel perfect, print ready collaterals of any type. So you can use AI models to create custom sales PDFs for your prospect that are pixel perfect in any kind of format you want, not just like dumb black and white text, images and interactive things and all that. This thing can do it for you. You can give these models an image, so it would make it really easy to make an agent that allows you to upload something. Like I uploaded the resume. You can upload an image and then call a model to analyze that image and come back with an analysis of it. Video, again, I'm not going to go through all of this. You can get data from any kind of external source, databases, the web, other APIs, etc. You can control, obviously, the flow of the agent through logic and other types of things. You can connect to social media and, again, programmatically have your agent be able to create YouTube videos and post YouTube videos and analyze YouTube comments and analyze performance of various videos on your competitors' channels and again, across these social media services and connect to various Google things and send email and send SMS and all the things that humans can do, your agent can do. And you just need to explain to it in these workflows what it's supposed to do when it gets triggered. And this is really easy to learn, and this is really easy to do. And when you've learned to do it, you have extreme superpowers. No mere mortal could possibly come close to competing with you. And certainly no company that has employees that know how to use this can be disrupted by some company that's doing it manually. The other way around. Okay, I'm going to pause here. Luis, can you help me get through questions if there are questions?
Yeah, most of the questions. So first off, there weren't too many questions. There are a couple that have to do with there's two concepts. One is, can I find agents and like modify them instead of building them all from scratch? And the other is just around fine tuning agents as people start to build and modify these things? Because obviously you showed like the most basic way to like make one of these kinds of agents, but they're like, oh, what if I want to add this? What if I want to
Yeah,
add
great. You can
that?
add countless things. You can add countless things to these things. Let's take a quick look. So again, so far we've clicked on this build button. On the left-hand side here, we clicked on build here, and we saw the agents that we've built and that we could click here and, for example, duplicate them. So all of that's there. But also over here on the left-hand side, there's a thing here called agents. If you click this, you will find over 100 agents that we have built that are available for you to just run. Okay. And so there's agents in all kinds of categories, for creators, for analyzing content, for doing research, for doing B2B content marketing, business development and partnership, students, a bunch of things for YouTube, VCs, blah, blah, blah. Lots of different things. Not only can you use these agents, but you can also click on them and you can make a copy of them. And so use them as a template. And this agent called Deep Research, as you can see, it has more than the few blocks that we've had. And so we can quickly go through it. Just again, for me to show, I'll take 1 minute to explain to you, like, what is this thing generally doing? This agent is a professional Google researcher. It runs, when you say run, it says, what do you want to research? And you type in some words and you push go. And the first thing it does is it uses a logic block to make sure that what the request is that the user put in there is something reasonable. Some people like to flirt with deep researchers, and you don't want to waste the time and tokens to do that. And so we say, does this make sense to do research on? No, great, let's not do it. Let's tell them you can't do it. Then the next thing it does, if it passes that first logic gate, is it says, great, it's a request, it's a valid request. Let's make the request better. And so this calls a model, generate text, says using the provided user request, expand and enrich the request into a prompt that can be sent to a researcher, resolve ambiguity, etc. And then again, using XML, we give it, here's the request variable that was collected here. Okay, and saves to a variable called request. Then it goes off and it calls another model, and it says, here's the user's request now, the new request, the enriched request. Analyze the request and create a research plan on how to best leverage Google search in order to fulfill the request. And then it saves that to a variable called plan. Plan. It then goes on and it uses a different type of block called user context and says, here's the plan and here's the user's original request. Go ahead and interview the user. So this thing allows the agent to interact with the user and ask the user a bunch of questions, in this case, to like disambiguate and fine tune the user's request. What do you mean you want me to research this company? In what way? And so it can ask you a bunch of questions. You get to set the depth of the research, how many questions it can ask, and then once it does that and it gets all those answers, it stores it in a variable called user notes. It then goes on and it calls a model again. It says, here's the research plan. Here are the user notes that we just collected. Go ahead and create a bunch of queries to search Google. And it creates an array of queries, so a bunch of queries. And then it uses this pink block, this is called the run workflow block, and it calls another workflow. You remember I told you there can be many workflows? This is the main flow. This is another workflow here called run query. And so for each query that it generates, it goes off and it creates permutations of the queries. It executes the Google search for all the queries. It gets back all the results. It picks the right results from the results. It then goes and crawls all of those pages and gets all that data. And then it goes and it calls another sub workflow to extract quotes. And then it comes back to this. And then it goes on. And then it goes and it searches Google image search to get a bunch of images to put in the report. It also automatically allows you to generate a podcast on the research. What I'm showing you this is that like all of this here is really straightforward to create using MindStudio. You can learn to do it on your own by watching more of our YouTube tutorials. You can come to our boot camps where we teach you in small groups in like these interactive 2-day boot camps. You can spend 2 full days with us and really nerd out on this and come out as an AI ninja. Okay. But like you can build extraordinarily sophisticated, extremely powerful workflows. Again, this thing does hundreds of hours of professional research work with a click of a button. Okay, and that's really powerful. Okay, so hopefully you saw there that you can use these things as templates, just make a copy of them or duplicate them. And also that you can have lots of sophistication in the thing. Are there any other questions before I build some more agents?
There's only one question. Maybe you can cover it as you're building agents, but there are some folks that are curious about, how these agents get deployed and like the deployment options, like what happens when you publish the agent. You've shown the browser extension, but obviously there are many different ways that these agents can be deployed.
Yeah. Let's build another agent and let's look at that as well. Okay. So I'm going to click plus, and I'm going to go to MindStudio and I'm going to go to my workspace and I'm going to say build new agent. And I'm going to call this agent
Hey,
blog.
Dimitri,
Uh-huh.
you're not sharing your screen.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Let's actually start from scratch so you guys get muscle memory by watching me. My workspace, build new agent. I'm going to call this agent blog post generator. I'm going to close this. On start here, I'm going to leave this as on demand. Remember last time we chose browser extension? Here we're going to make it on demand. And so again, what we're going to make is we're going to make an application that runs on mobile, also runs on our computer. And that application is going to have a screen that allows us to enter what we want the blog post to be about, in what style we want the blog post to be written in, and approximately how many words that we want the blog post to be. That's all. It's going to be a simple app like that, a form that asks us those 3 questions. And when we push a button, it writes the blog post for us. Okay, that's what we're going to make. Okay, so in order to do that, that's called on demand. What does that mean? We humans choose when we run this agent on demand, whenever we want it. Okay, and so again, so far I've done just giving it a name. I didn't change anything here. The default is on demand. I'm going to click plus. So in order for us to create these front-end interfaces, that form I was telling you about, we have to use something called the user input. So I'm going to click user input. And then I can add individual user inputs into this block. And I'm going to click plus here. And I'm going to say create new. Now keep an eye on like this, my mouse here in this section. So user inputs is like what it sounds like. They're, form fields, basically, a way for users to interact with the agent and give it inputs. There's long text inputs. There are short text inputs. There are text multiple choice inputs. There are image multiple choice inputs. Again, it can be many of these, not just 2. And so you can create grids of things and say, choose all that seem yummy. Send that to a model and get the model to analyze what things that the person then is going to, you might want to recommend to them to eat or to make or whatever. Okay, so really powerful. Ratings, file upload, image upload, audio upload, you get the point. Here I'm just going to say long text, and I'm going to add a label to it, and I'm going to say, what should my God, blog post be about? And then we need to store it in a variable, and I'm going to call this variable topic. Okay, so I just said I want a long post. I wrote the label. What should the post be about? And I give it a variable name called topic. Then I'm going to close this. And so we already have one of these. I'm going to click plus. I'm going to say create new. And I'm going to create a short text one. And here I'm going to say in what style. And then here I'm going to call this style. And I'm going to close this. And I'm going to add a third one. And I'm going to say create new. And I'm going to make this short text. And I'm going to say how many words. And then here, I'm going to call this num words. Okay, you can call it anything you want. Okay, I'm just calling it num words like this. Okay? And so now we've created all these user inputs. By the way, we could simply click here and say open draft agent. And we can see this form. Okay, and by the way, again, if I put it in here, that works on mobile, works on desktop, the form is available. We can type things in. And we can say next, and this thing is going to say, congratulations, well done. Okay, why? Because, well, it just ends, right? We didn't continue it. Okay, so let's do that. So we've built the front end already. Okay, now look what I'm going to do. I'm going to say plus, and I'm just going to use that friendly generate text block, meaning call a model. And I'm going to ask it to write a blog post. And then look what I'm going to do here. Again, you can do it at the top, you can do it at the bottom. We prefer to do it at the top. I'm going to give it all of those variables that I just collected. Right? I'm going to give it the topic, double curly braces topic. I'm going to give it the style, and then end style, and then double curly braces style. By the way, don't worry about this color difference. This is an artifact that periodically happens. I'm also going to give it the number of words. And it's good practice to keep this in one sentence or one string without spaces. Number of words. And then here, I'm just going to say num words. Okay. And so again, I'm giving it the topic to this model that we collected here, whatever people typed into that field for topic. I'm giving it whatever they typed in for style. I'm giving it whatever they typed in for number of words. And then I'm giving it a command, say, write a blog post. And I'm just going to display this back to the user, and I'm going to publish it, and I'm going to open it. And now I've got an application. It's got a front end, it's got a back end, it's published, it's ready to go. It's a link. I can take this link right here. If you look up here, I'm going to get rid of this run thing. If you look up here, whenever you publish an AI agent, it automatically gets a custom URL. And you can take that URL and you can bookmark it, or you can embed it, or you can send it to a friend. You could text it to somebody. You could post it to social media if you want, because you can take these things and you can open up the access. By default, only you have access to it, or your workspace, people in your workspace, your coworkers, for example. You can make it private to yourself, or you could make it public, or you could invite specific people, okay? And so you're in control of all of this stuff, but it's just a link, and it's an application. And so I can say, how AI will transform all work. And then in what style, I'm going to say Gary V. Does everybody know who Gary Vaynerchuk is? Show of hands. Everybody know kind of what his style is? It's kind of like, aggressive style. Yeah. How many words? I'm going to say 1,000. And I'm going to say next. And this thing's going to give that data to the model. And there it is, the hustle revolution. I think that's Gary's favorite word. Listen up, because I'm about to drop some truth bombs on. This is Gary Vaynerchuk writing this thing for us about how AI will transform work. Now, is this a good blog post? Is this the way we want the blog post? I don't know. But the good news is, again, we're in control. So I want to teach you some additional things here. Let's go back to this block here, this just generate text block. And by the way, so before I get there, does everybody now understand what is happening here? That I'm giving to the model data, and I'm labeling that data with these things so the model can understand what data is in here. I actually want to show you this here before we move on. I'm going to go to the debugger, and I'm going to click here. And you might be like, oh my God, this looks really scary. This sort of looks like code stuff. Don't worry about it. It's not. It's very readable. Let's look at what's happening here. So it's run started, and then it goes off and it like initializes all of these variables, like who the user is that's running it. You don't care about that. Don't worry about that. The first thing it does is it shows that user input, right? You remember user input? It shows us the form. And then it takes what we wrote into the form. You see, it says setting topic to how AI will transform all work. Setting style to Gary V. Setting num words to 1,000. Then it moves on to the next block, which is to call a model, generate text. And what the command that the model sees when we ask the model, it does not see this. It does not see these double curly braces in the word style, topic, and num words. What it actually sees is this. The model sees topic and topic, how AI will transform all work. Do you see? that gets expanded. And it sees style, Gary V, and style. And it sees number of words, 1,000 number of words, and then it sees write a blog post. Now, realize that if I did not put topic and topic, or style and style, or number of words and number of words, but I simply put the variables in, what the model would see would be the words, how AI will transform all work, Gary V 1000, write a blog post. And the model would probably get confused of like, I don't understand what you're saying. But by adding these labels, right? By adding these labels like we did here, by adding these labels, we now add context to the data that gets unpacked to the model. Yeah, making sense? Yeah, okay, cool. Okay, so let's make our blog a bit more specific. Okay, so I'm gonna open this up in full screen just so we can see it here. So I'm gonna watch my mouse. I'm gonna go down here. I'm gonna click this little button here. And it just gives us a bit more room to work with. Just a thing. Okay, and look, I'm just gonna add a couple of line breaks here, and I'm gonna do the following. I'm gonna say template. You could also say sample, or you could say like this. These are just like prompts to models. Models understand any of this. Help them understand what it is you're trying to say. I'm saying here's a template I'm giving you of the type of blog post I want. Okay, I'm helping it out to say I want a blog post like this. And again, this is best practice that I'm going to use. And I'm going to use these square brackets. Oops, these square brackets. To do this, I'm going to say provocative title. And then I'm going to use square brackets again. I'm going to say funny subtitle. And by the way, you could, instead of using square brackets, you could just write it. You could say, you know, provocative title and subtitle. You could use bullet points. But this is best practice in models to be able to use when you're doing this templating to use these things. Okay. Then I'm going to say one paragraph TLDR. And then I'm going to say main point. Oops, point. And then I'm going to say 3 times subpoints of point. Okay. Yeah, I can indent it or not. This is just for me to see it. I'm just explaining to the model what I want. Then I could, for example, say like ... right? Meaning more of these. Again, you can do it like in any kind of way you want. This is just the way I do it. But you can explain to the model generally how you want. And then finally, I'm going to say conclusion with a strong call to action. Okay, so I've created this like template. And now if I publish this, and then I open the agent, and I say ice cream, Gary V, 1,000 words. You'll see that the blog post now is different. It is a provocative title. It is a funny-ish subtitle. It is a 1-paragraph TLDR. It is a main point and 3 subpoints, subpoint, 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 another main point, subpoint, subpoint, subpoint. See, it's still going, and then it's going to write a conclusion with a call to action. And so we've just made a much more sophisticated, very easily, much more sophisticated, much more precise, much more what we want, blog post generator. Yeah. And again, we could then continue down this flow. And now that we have a blog post, we could save this to a variable, and then we can go ahead and post it to WordPress. See? And so now for you to write blog posts, you give it a topic. Or another great way of writing blog posts is to use a browser extension and to be on some, let's say, video that you watch that you like. And you say, I want to write a blog post about this and share it on whatever, LinkedIn and Twitter and Blue Sky and whatever. With a click of a button, you can just do that. Push the button. It'll grab that data. It will write the blog post the way you want it. It will go off and share it to all those services. And so whenever you run across something cool, you've now generated content for all your platforms with a click of a button. Yeah, that becomes really, really powerful. And with that, I want to show you another quick demo here. So I have 5 kids. My oldest is 11, and my oldest daughter is 9. Her name is Una. And Una likes to make slime. You know what slime is? Like silly putty, stuff like that. She likes to make slime. By the way, that's Una there. She likes to make slime. See, that's a phone there. And like there's a camera that points down, and she pours out this like glue, and she mixes a bunch of things in there, and she makes slime, and she plays with it, and it's cool. And people like that. And so I, along with watching her make slime, decided that I would build her an agent that does the following, which is automatically conceptualizes a slime and then makes a video. I don't know if you'll be able to hear the sound here, but it's like crackling and all this ASMR stuff. So this is Una's background. That is Una's light that she has shining on her. But these are not Una's hands. And Una did not conceptualize this slime, and she certainly didn't make the slime or record it. This is all being generated by a very simple MindStudio AI agent that I built in 15 minutes. This entire thing. How? Let's take a look at it. Okay. Again, this is crazy that you get this and that. Okay. So I'll go back. Oops. I'll go back here. Let's close some of these. My workspace. Build slime. Una slime gem. This is how this agent works. That's really it. Look, I mean, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks. No, 4 blocks. Yeah. Okay. So the first block is generate text. It calls a model. And you can see what it says here. It says create a text to video prompt for a unique slime by randomly combining elements from each category below. Each generated prompt should follow this structure. There's that templating that I showed you. Shot type of slime description, action sequence, special effects, visual style, etc. Random elements to combine. Shot types, pick from these shot types. Base slime, pick from this. Colors, pick 1 to 3 colors out of this list. Textures of mix-ins, okay? So I gave, by the way, I did not write this. I clicked that generate button that I showed you before when we did the financial analyst, and I said, something that generates ideas for slime with various ingredients and then outputs a text to video prompt. That's all I wrote. And it came back with this amazing, well thought out thing that helps it generate random ideas for slime. It comes back. And again, we save that in a variable called prompt. So the first block, all it does is conceptualize of the slime and output a prompt so that we can use that in the next block, which is a generate video block. And we just give it this prompt. And then we configure a bunch of other things. What model do we use? Again, we support different video models. What's the duration of this bit? Should it also record audio, generate audio? I said yes, and so it gave me all that ASMR. What's the aspect ratio? Okay, and then it has this parameter right here, which allows me to give it this base image. And I literally took a screenshot. These are Una's hands. That is a slime that Una made. I just wanted the screenshot of this background. And so I just give it this as a reference image, and then it automatically uses that and generates it. And so the output of this is a video, but you don't get the video. You actually get the URL to the video that's been generated. And so I have to give it a name. I called it video URL, and that's going to be the URL of the video. I then call a model again, a text model. I give it that prompt that we generated here, and I say generate the name of the slime, something that's fun, satisfying, catchy, something people would like to buy, the description of the slime based on the prompt that was generated here. And go ahead and save that in a variable called slime using this format called JSON, so we got the name and the description. And then it uses an update Google Sheet block and simply posts all of those variables, the current date, the slime name that was generated, the slime description, and the video URL. And the output of that is this. Oops. a spreadsheet with names of slime, description of slime, and 8-second videos of the slime. And then Una takes these and takes 7 of them at a time, and then puts them together and puts some music behind them and posts them to TikTok or Instagram. By the way, I could have automated all of that too, but she wanted to choose the music and you know and the sequence and all of that. Okay. But again, this ability, once you can orchestrate models by simply creating steps for them, simple thought out steps, the value you can get back, the ROI you can get back is extraordinary. Especially if you're obviously doing it, using it for business. Whatever it is that you do manually on an ongoing basis is a candidate for you to step back and just build either a button you can press or something that automatically runs on a schedule or a little application where you just enter a bit of data and it does that. And so you can transform, fundamentally transform your own workflow and be radically more productive, more efficient, get your time back, get your mental energy back. That's the biggest win. And that makes you more creative and you make better decisions. And it's like, because today you're just like in the grind doing all that stuff. Don't do that anymore. Okay, it's freedom. Okay, should I take more questions here? How are we doing on time?
We have got, this is a 2-hour session.
So we have another half hour.
Yeah, we have another half hour or so.
Okay, great. So yeah, so we can take some more questions. I can show you a bunch of other agents and talk about that. Where should we go? Rich, you want to ask a question? Yeah, feel free, by the way, folks, and use that react button in Zoom. And at the bottom, there's a thing called raise hand. If you want to come up and ask a question in that way, now's a good time. I'll take some questions, and then again, we'll come back to doing other things. Rich, good to see you.
Good, thank you, and appreciate the session. Thank you. Question about iterating after you use the generate help prompt feature. So say you type in, hey, I need you to create a list, and you hit generate prompt and it comes back with its answer and you upload it to the system prompt. Can you go back and click the button again to generate another prompt to, you say you run the agent and it gives you a response, but it's not exactly what you are looking for.
Yeah, for sure.
So, all right, when it gives you the second output, are you just adding it to the previous output, or is it overwriting everything with a whole new prompt? Do you follow my question?
I do. Yeah. Today, the way the button works is it'll rewrite the entire thing. It's not editing or refining it. Yeah. But again, most of the time for that generate piece, that's how people use it, right? And you have it generated, and then you manually refine it, or you refine it in some other way. Yeah. There are other, obviously, interfaces. I don't want to confuse everyone, that are vibe coding interfaces where you communicate back and forth and you go through it, but that's the way that works. Thank you, Rich. And any other questions here? Luis, were there any other questions?
There is one
I see Leslie
question.
now.
Oh,
Raise your
actually,
hand.
yeah, it was Leslie. So Leslie, why don't you go ahead and just ask your question?
Perfect.
Hi.
Hey.
Sorry, let me lower my hand. I don't know if I'm getting ahead of myself here in terms of what you're going to talk about next, but a lot of the examples that we're going through right now is all about getting data from somewhere else. But in the instance where you are trying to feed data to MindStudio, the model itself, rather than saying, go and analyze this blog post or go and analyze this other thing. How would that look like? I'm going to give you a perfect case study here as to what I mean by that. So assuming I am reaching out to a recruiter and I tell them, go and chat with my AI agent, go and chat with me and learn about, what are my skills? How do I think about X, Y, and Z things? In that case, the model would have to have my resume, would have to have like all kinds of data about myself that I have fed it so that then the person on the other side can go and ask questions, and then this model is going to sort of respond to it. Is that, is it possible to do that? How would that look like when you're saying, I guess you're querying data that is your own rather than that is like out there in the universe?
Great question. Yeah, let me show you. Really easy to do. I'm going to say my workspace. I'm going to say build new agent. So again, so far, we've seen the publish button. We've seen the preview button that we can open our agents in this way. We've seen this thing here called the automations canvas, and we've seen these blocks, and we've seen that when you click on the blocks, this changes and you can configure them there. You can add blocks. There's many blocks that you can add and do that. So we've seen all of that. What we have, and we've seen here in the debugger, we've seen that when things run, we can see their logs in the debugger. Okay. Also in this Explore area, we played around with user inputs, which are these front-end interfaces where we can create screens, but we have not yet played around with functions and these things called data sources. If you hover over data source and you click plus, you can give it a name. This is, all about me. And then you can just upload up to 150 files at a time, up to 5 million words at a time. These are like ginormous books, that are 1 million words, 5 million is like 5 ginormous books, about yourself. You can upload that. And then, by the way, if you run out of space there, you can just do that again. So you can add many of these data sources. And then as soon as you upload them, the system automatically takes them and converts them into something called vector embeddings and makes that data available to your agent so that when people, in your case, you said you wanted the agent to be like a chatbot, that's easy to build here, that now your agent knows about you. And so if the recruiter is chatting with your agent, it can ask it questions about you. Now, I would actually suggest you that, I know I hope just came up with that applications like an example, but I wouldn't like build an application like that because that's not a good way to get a job, is to tell recruiters to talk to your agent. The right way to think about agents is that you are the bartender and the agents are the bar back. Your job is to interact with humans, and the agents are there to make you, super proficient at that. They're doing like all the back end stuff versus people chatting with agents. People hate chatting with agents. It's like when you call your credit card company and it says, say one for this, say yes for this. And you're like, operator, operator, operator. And says, I understand you want to talk to an op. Humans want to talk to humans. And so while you can build chatbots with MindStudio, again, I encourage you to mostly build other types of things because they are where the real value lies. Yeah. Okay. Malcolm?
Yeah, thank you, Dimitri. I've got to say, I've sat in on one of your sessions before, and it's difficult for me to resist not going off and creating stuff in ChatGPT as you're stimulating my thought patterns. Thank you. I had an answer back from Luis. I'm still trying to get my head around, is this a self-contained application, like a toolkit, or is it a tool in that toolkit where I would need peripheral services to interface with MindStudio?
That's a great question. So MindStudio is a comprehensive, complete platform for building, fine-tuning, testing, operating, running, and then managing AI agents, AI automations, AI applications. You need no other external tool to be able to build AI agents and run them and analyze them and all that and manage them. Periodically, your agents might want to interact, leverage other things. Like in my case, I'm leveraging Google Sheets for Una's slime generator. That's a Google service. MindStudio has a block to connect to it and to read and write from that service. And so there, obviously, we're also leveraging, Google service, or I showed you like Airtable, or other things. But, you know, all the agent stuff, that's all built into MindStudio, and you need no other tools.
Okay. So say, for example, I just wanted to create something for marketing. I wanted to create a blog post. I've got everything that I need in MindStudio. I just need an API or something into LinkedIn to, you know, first check it. Yeah, it looks okay. Press the button and it'll deploy. Is that the
Yeah,
right?
you don't need an API. That's just a block that's built into MindStudio. You just need to add that block and just log into LinkedIn. That's it.
Okay. The geek in me has been waiting for something like this. I've been looking at, I've been shown something. I still can't quite get my head around it. And there's the, you know, I want to try it. We've all got to start somewhere. We've got to throw some energy, some resources, some dollars at it, just to, you know, level ourselves up. Otherwise, we, like others, will get left behind. So thank you for what you're doing here. And I'll shut up
Thank you.
now.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, listen, geek out on this stuff. All of you, every last one of you can learn to do this now. Again, later on, if you got some time this weekend, invest it. On Monday, you're going to show up as a superhero. You're going to blow everybody's socks off with what you can do. You can get promoted. We see this all the time where people exercise these skills that they've learned at their work. Their peers or their superiors notice that, and they pull them out of their job function and they say, come with me, we need you better up here, because every department needs somebody looking at this. So it's an amazing way to get promoted in your organization. It is an amazing way to get a job if you're looking for a job. Again, very few people want, you know, I'm a marketer with 20 years of marketing experience. There's lots of those. What they want is, I'm a marketer with 20 years of marketing experiences, and I know how to do marketing automation. Let me show you. I built this agent. Job offer. That's how you get a job, okay? By the way, you don't need 20 years of marketing experience either now. That automation part, that's the like 95%. The 20 years is 5%. Okay. Yeah, so lean into this. You can do it, and it's absurdly valuable. I know of nothing more valuable. I propose that. I know of nothing more valuable that you could do other than like eat right and get enough sleep. But like professionally, in whatever it is career you're in, this is the new skill set to learn to master, because it unclogs everything else. It scales everything else. It gives you capabilities that other people can't even imagine. And you can just build them casually, of like, oh, I've got an idea, I'll build this. Edmund.
Hey, so this is just a super random question, but at first I was actually introduced to MindStudio, an entrepreneurial class I was taking back in San Diego. I'm currently a college student, and of course, with that, I'm looking to, you know, find many opportunities that may benefit me, and in the future. This actually is a great opportunity. And when I'm gonna reference your, I think it was your daughter, the Una slime. So with that, if I were to take that and maybe make my own account on like YouTube or TikTok, because with that we've seen like a higher, I guess, higher volume of like automated accounts. Could this possibly be of use for that? You know, like analyzing comments and data, like people viewership, all that. Like, is this something that can be
Does
taken
all of
into
that.
account for that?
Yeah. Yeah, people,
Okay.
yeah, again, it's common use case. You can create automated content you can create automated media companies.
Perfect. Thank you.
Automated news production companies, you know, doing research on what's happening in the world and analyzing it, and creating news feeds. You can create images, you can create videos, you can create podcasts, generate podcasts, generate the idea for the podcast, generate the script for the podcast, generate the vocals for two people talking about the podcast. That's just a simple block in MindStudio. And you can take that and you can publish that. And you could have 100 of those running, or 1,000 if you want.
That is great. I appreciate that. Thank
Yeah,
you.
you're welcome. Okay. Edmund, you can lower your hand. Kankshi?
Yes, that's me. Hi.
Is that close? Did I pronounce it right?
Quite there. You didn't have any trouble at all.
Okay, I love it.
As
And
good as the agents.
amazing. And I love the spelling of it too.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Hello.
I'm from India. I have been following you obsessively on LinkedIn. Thank you so much for doing this.
I
And
thought somebody was watching me. I had this like feeling, and that must have been you.
perfect. Thank you so much. I work in the not-for-profit space, but like I work basically to save democracies, if I may put it like that. I'm currently based in Berlin. The work that I do is also just to equip and train politicians and bureaucrats and political leaders on using AI. But like I feel that they are not developing agents. They're campaign staffers, and I'm thinking of new use cases that could come up from using MindStudio AI. Yesterday, I was trying to build something very cool, but I have not been able to I'm not successful so far. I tried to do a ripoff model on ChatGPT though, which is like a legal agent, right? Like a legal agent that helps people in the ecosystem on strategic litigation in Africa. So that was a use case. I don't know what kind of data should I have fed in the first place, but my question really here is that when I'm thinking of new use cases in AI, especially in not-for-profit or democratic spaces, the usual problem that we run on is we don't have enough data. Data has not been organized very well. So can there be also a tool that helps in scraping that data in the first place, be automated in scraping data, and then constantly produce output from that data?
Totally.
That's the question there. And if you could show or give me an insight into how does one do that?
Yeah, so instead of like building this agent for you, let me explain it, and then feel free and like reach out to me and I'll help you build it. Okay. Saving democracies is an important endeavor, and we would like to help.
Yeah.
So yes, you can automatically find data for your agents to use. Okay. Or find data for other things, like go out and find data on the internet. Okay. And we've got a bunch of blocks, a bunch of capabilities to do that. We've got a block that makes it easy to scrape any URL or any array of URLs. We've got blocks that allow you to monitor websites for changes. And so there's a website where you know where new opportunities are coming up all the time. You just set it and forget it. And every day or every hour or every minute, however often you want, it's going to connect to that website, look for any changes, analyze those changes, grab the changes, do whatever you want with the changes. We have a block called deep research that allows you to literally type, again, a command, a prompt, an articulation of what kinds of things you're looking for in the world. And this block is a master Google searcher. It's that deep research thing that I showed you, but as a block. And so you can monitor Google at scale, monitor the world at scale, and do it. Again, using that block, you can say, only pay attention to what's happening on, let's say, X, right? Or what's happening on Blue Sky, or what's happening on YouTube, or what's happening in Google Trends. I'll give you another example of that. So a couple of months ago, I talked to a day trader who is using MindStudio, and he told me about the agents that he's built. And the first agent that he told me about is tracking Tesla. So he's a day trader. He trades stocks. He's got some that he finds interesting. He wants competitive advantage over other day traders to be able to understand which way this thing might move. And the thing he's built is an agent that tracks a thing called Google Trends. Show of hands, does anybody know what Google Trends is? Okay, great. For the folks that don't, Google Trends is an interface that Google provides. It's like search that allows you to type in a keyword, and Google Trends will show you what's the volume of searches for that keyword, today, last hour, last week, etc. And so you can, like, if you're doing search engine optimization or ad buying, you spend a lot of time on Google Trends, like analyzing, should I use this keyword or that keyword? It's not very valuable for anything else. But what this guy did is we make it super easy. We have a block called, monitor Google Trends. He has hundreds of terms around Tesla, Tesla supply chain issues, Elon gone crazy, all kinds of things that when you monitor them together as a set over time, you can see how consumer sentiment and then potentially market sentiment is changing. And that gives you an unfair advantage in doing that. So he's got one for Tesla, one for, for each stock. He's got one of these agents that's just like running automatically. And whenever there's an opportunity, that's when it bugs him. Typically, it doesn't even bug him. It's like, set it and forget it. I don't want to think about Tesla until my agent says, now's the time to think about Tesla. Something is about to happen. You should know about it first. Okay? Again, superpower. Yeah? And dumb easy to build. And by the way, once he built the first one, what does it take to build the second one? Duplicate it. Just change the term and you're done. Next one, next one, next one, and done. Yeah, so by the way, these are just some of the ways to like get data in. There's like countless other ways, connecting to databases, yada yada.
Oh.
Feel free and reach out to me and I'll see if I can point you in the right direction.
That's very sweet of you. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Other questions? No? Okay, perfect. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, just wanted, there are a couple of questions regarding how to measure and monitor costs of these agents and things like that. That might be good to review as people are starting to build their own. They already have ideas, but it is one concern for folks.
Yeah. So, we've spent a little time here. When we click on title of the agent, we get the screen. We can also click over here. Okay, and we can change its name again and do that. We can give it an icon. We can give it a sharing icon if we share it, and configure many other things. The other thing we can configure here are monthly user budget limits, which means if you're the only user, there's just a limit for you, where like no matter what, this agent won't let you spend more than whatever, an amount of dollars per month on this, okay? You can also, if you're allowing, sharing and embedding, you can set this up so that if you're making this agent available to other people, you can set it up so those people have to pay for the usage of that agent instead of you having to pay for the usage of the agent. I'm not going to get into that. I don't want to confuse people, but it's actually all very easy to learn. Just watch some YouTube tutorials that we already have in MindStudio University about these things. But like you can manage your billing in great ways with lots of things that you can set. You can set it per workspace, you can set it per user, you can set it per agent, and so you can make sure you don't overspend. Again, where do you spend money? Well, one is MindStudio has a pricing plan. And so you can be on the $16 a month plan or $48. There's this unlimited plan. There's others. But then you also have to pay for usage. And again, usage is when you call a model, it charges you fractions of pennies typically to return things back. And those things then get itemized. And again, you have access to them. And you can see, usage log, for example, and how much you're spending. You see, I'm spending like fractions of pennies here. You see these little fractions of pennies. And this is like 2 pennies here, a thousandth of a penny. And so these are small amounts, but you get billed for that. And so you need to have your credit card on file to pay for that inference. But again, we give you lots of tools to be able to analyze it. Also, again, when you're building your agents and you are fine-tuning them, you can see here how much these parts of the run cost. And we also give you even capabilities built in that we haven't covered, which is to evaluate a bunch of models against one another. And here I'm going to choose 3 different models. So Claude 3.7 Sonnet, this is Anthropic, Google, OpenAI, right? I'm going to give them the same prompt, write a poem. And I can watch them in real time perform that. I can also see some are much faster than others. This one's already completed, Claude 3.7 Sonnet. This thing is still like thinking and writing. This one looks like it thought, now it's like writing. And we can see, whoops, how long these things take at the bottom of these things, and then how much they each cost. Okay, so you see this one is done, this one took the longest, Here's the input tokens and the output tokens, they're called. And so again, you can evaluate models if cost is important to you, but we give you a bunch of tools. These are just some in order to do cost controls, cost optimization, and performance optimization and all of that stuff. So lots and lots of things to learn here. But again, I proposed to you that I hopefully didn't lie to you, that I said that after this, you guys are going to be able to go build agents. You can. That one pattern that I showed you, browser extension, give it page content, and just give it some command, extract all learnings, do a fundamental analysis. Just with that one pattern, you can build countless superpowers that will change your life dramatically, just with that. And then you could nerd out and you can learn the other million things you can do with this thing. Automate everything. Everything you do manually on an ongoing basis, especially the things you don't like doing, that you find boring and are a drag, stop. Just build an automation and you get freedom back. There is no better investment. Okay, so let's quickly wrap this up. Again, folks, good to see you. We had a tiny group here. That was great. We're super friendly. You can find us online on LinkedIn. Don't be afraid to follow us or just reach out to us. You can come to more of these. We do these every week. They're all a bit different. Feel free and keep an eye on it. There's a calendar. Somebody could share the calendar in Slack. That would be awesome. You can sign up for more events. If you want to come to one of our longer boot camps, again, we do a 2-day boot camp. One's coming up November, I think 2nd and 3rd or 3rd and 4th, where you get to spend 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific with us for 2 days. We cover a lot. You come out of there level 1 certified. We have certifications. That's level 1 certified AI agent builder. But you need to invest 2 days of your life to do that. And it's intense, but it's fun. People have gone through it. They love it. Okay, so feel free and do that. Start playing around with this. Again, watch the tutorials on our website. They're really easy to watch. Okay. Again, have a cocktail. They're fun. Make it an evening and just sit back and digest this information. Be Neo in the Matrix. Get the tap, drink from the fire hose. Just see. Lewis here. Lewis, raise your hand. Lewis is a master builder. Please follow him. Maybe Lewis, post your LinkedIn. We just hired Lewis full-time to work at MindStudio. Lewis used to be a technical writer, and then he became a MindStudio certified developer and started consulting for many companies and teaching boot camps, and we kind of poached him and said, Lewis, we want to have you here full-time and doing this, but keep an eye on what Lewis is doing and just, again, learn. There is no more important thing for you to learn now. This is the new digital literacy. Everybody's going to have to learn this. Anybody who does not learn this is left behind. Duh. You are here early. That gives you an opportunity to excel. Don't wait. Do it now. Show off your skills. Lewis showed off his skills. He got a job at MindStudio. Okay. This is a common pattern. We see people showing off their skills. Just start building agents. Make a video about yourself building an agent. Post it to LinkedIn. Post it to YouTube. Post it everywhere. Okay? Create a portfolio of agents you're building. We have a video on how to do that, how it's easy to create a portfolio of agents. Link to that from your LinkedIn profile. When people go to your LinkedIn profile, they're going to look at you and they're going to see, what are you about? They're going to say, holy crap, she's got a portfolio of these like AI agent automations. I wish I had people like that. But my employees are good, but they're like from the old world. I need to figure out how to get them to be like, pick your name, Julie. Yeah. And that's the opportunity now. I want you guys to see that and go seize it. We're here to help you. All right. Okay. If there are no other questions, then it's great to see you guys. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you around. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Great to see you, Dimitri. Thank you.
Great to see you. All right, guys. Good to see you. Have a great day.